Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Llama Commerce Show. I'm Brett Curry, lead strategist here at Classy Llama. Flying solo, no Kurt Theobald today, but we have an amazing show planned. Really excited about the topic. Of all the topics we cover, this is one of the most timely and from a marketing standpoint, one of the most important that we'll cover. So you definitely want to tune in. We're talking about Google Shopping and the transition from product listing ads to Google Shopping, what that means, what you can expect, and how to really grow your shopping campaign. So super excited about our guests as well. In our marketing services department here at Classy Llama, we run a lot of AdWords campaigns, a lot of AdWords accounts. And we find that Google Shopping is almost always the winner, always the most profitable campaign. But we also find that a lot of them have a ton of waste and could be a lot better. So that's what we're going to dive into today. Before I introduce my guests, I do want to introduce our staple on the show, Mr. Ott, the one-armed table tennis trophy. This is the traveling award on the Llama Commerce Show. Whoever delivers the most value will get this trophy. Unfortunately, not going to get to keep it. It is reserved for the next show. But we'll also give away some Llama swag. And so I'd like to introduce our two guests. We have Brian Natter and Chris Ecker from Sales and Orders. Met these guys in Chicago, was super impressed. We do a lot with Google Shopping. These guys live, eat, and breathe Google Shopping. They're really, really sharp when it comes to that stuff. So, guys, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Very good. Very
Great
good,
to be
sir.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Now, before we dive into Google Shopping, fun topic, but before we do that, you guys are in one of my favorite places in the world. You're just outside of New York City. I was just in New York a couple weeks ago with my wife. You guys are out on Long Island, though, and I hear that you guys there? I think we may have
Yeah, I got you. I'm sorry, we cut off for a second there.
Yeah.
Surfing we're talking about is mediocre here until a hurricane comes up the coast. As in yesterday, we had a hurricane come up the coast. It was fantastic.
It's a good thing because we're mediocre surfers, so it works out.
Right. We pretend. We pretend to surf. You get a really cool looking board. You walk out, and then they go, "Oh, look at that surfer!" And then you get in the water, and you just blend into all the other guys, and then you come out and you look good again.
It's all about the swagger, right? That surfer swagger.
You get the expensive
awesome.
looking stuff.
Yeah, I bet. Well, good luck on the surfing today. So.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, cool, guys. Let's talk about this transition from product listing ads to Google Shopping. It's been interesting listening to the community. I've been on several Google partner calls, as I know you guys have as well. You guys talk to Google a lot. It still seems like Google is shooting for that end of the month, which is days away now as we're recording this. Looking like they may stick to that, may not. You guys have any insights there? And I know it's kind of a mystery. Google doesn't totally show their hand on things like that.
Yeah, sure. Chris, why don't you?
Yeah, sure. So, I want to say that Google's been good to us in that they let partners know, probably as well as you, that this was coming. So there's definitely been some time for partners to try to educate their clients. The more important thing really is that they've just been kind of more ramping up the marketing side to get as many customers that had easier campaigns to move over. So you'll see a little blip coming up as an alert in your AdWords campaign to move over to shopping. Brian can speak about the details of what happens when you actually migrate a shopping campaign over from a typical traditional PLA. But I think at the end of the month, what we're getting the sense of is that it's going to be more, you're not going to be definitely able to create a PLA campaign. So if you're relying on creating new PLA campaigns for categories, that sort of thing, that's going to be possible. And then I imagine just with all things Google, they're always rolling it out to sections of their client base. So it might be at the end of the month for some people. It might be a month from now for others. And then they're very large accounts, if a Macy's or something like that, they might have other intentions with them, and that they might have to be able to write it out with the typical PLA campaign all the way through, this shopping season. But I can't imagine there will be PLAs that you could rely on, much further past the next couple months.
That makes sense. And so probably at the end of the month, no more ability to create product listing ad campaigns. It's all going to be Google Shopping, but there could be some PLA campaigns that you can ride throughout the holiday season, possibly. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, we're in 100 accounts a day, and we're seeing AdWords and analytics get updated slowly through different clients' accounts. So, they could pull the plug on some people and others, and that's just a normal rollout process for them.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, before we dive into the details of Google Shopping, because there's a lot of new features, some cool stuff to look at there, are there any merchants that shouldn't be using Google Shopping? Because from our perspective, if you're going to be doing paid traffic, if you're looking at using AdWords at all, Google Shopping is kind of a no-brainer. Can you guys think of any scenario where Google Shopping wouldn't be a good fit for a client?
Yeah, I mean, it's really with anything. If you don't put the effort and the time into something, it's not going to work, right? So if you don't have the effort or the time to put into your online store, your money that you're spending on Google Shopping might not convert for you and make you money on the end result because you don't keep up on your online store. One of the major issues I see with a lot of companies is they'll get the traffic, but they don't keep stock or inventory. So somebody will order something on their site and then they'll have to cancel the order because they don't have it. And that happens a lot with your drop shippers, right? People who use drop shipping and don't have the real-time inventory because they don't have the time, money, capabilities to do an integration that can give them real-time inventory updates. So they're going off of old data sheets that might not be in stock anymore. And that's a big waste because it looks like you're doing good because you're getting your orders and you're tracking your sales, but then at the end result, you can't ship the order, so you cancel it, which pisses off the customer, right?
Right.
And then
you lose that customer for life, possibly.
Yeah, that's probably the worst case. And I would say if you're in that situation, you should probably fix that situation prior to spending money on marketing, right? Or you can scale, right? You can have a minimal amount of products that you can start with that you can work with, that you have the margin on, that is profitable, and then scale up from there. You don't have to do everything at once, which a lot of people try, right?
Yeah, and we've looked at that several times as well. So if someone's new to this, maybe you start with your top 50, top 100 SKUs, something like that. Go from there. Those you're going to have in stock, they're going to be available, and then as you get profitable and things are starting to roll, then you scale up from there.
Correct. Yeah, I would say that's a good start. I mean, we have customers with as little as 3 products, and they do amazing. You have customers with 10,000 products, and they're constantly working to do better. They can't figure it out, right? So I think it comes down to the products that you sell, the price that you have the product set to, and your communication with your customer service, quality of your site. It all kind of works together.
It all works together. Yep. So really, I guess what you're saying here is if you're going to do Google Shopping, you got to make sure you've got some of the fundamentals in place.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those fundamentals in place, then no amount of advertising is going to fix that.
No, you got to use Llama Desk. I'm gonna support your Llama Desk. I'm a big fan.
All right, good. Yeah,
that's amazing. I send so many people there because they go, oh, I need to fix something. We'll drive a lot of traffic. A lot of things that we see is we can really get down to the SKU level and analyze. And you see one product that gets a lot of traffic, and it comes to the site and it's not converting. It's a great price. It's a great product. Why isn't it selling? And they're just missing qualities on their product page to help them to get to that next level where somebody feels comfortable enough, like I'm going to buy this product from this person and they're going to ship it to me. And then you have Amazon there and you go, okay, well, Amazon, I know I'm going to get the shipment, and if I don't, Amazon's going to cover me. So you got to have that quality of assurance on your site. So I say, look, you got to go to Llama Desk. You got to get some support time and help them, tell them to help you fix your site up, right?
Hey, and I just want to make it clear, we did not ask you to make a long plug, but hey, I like it. So this trophy is like inching your way right now, buddy.
I'll pitch a couple more services for you.
All right, awesome. Well, hey, let's talk about some of the benefits, because I think there's some exciting things about the new shopping campaigns. But what are a few of the things that you guys see, because you guys were living in the PLA system for a long time, and are really a leader and have been a leader in that space. What are some of the new features, new aspects of Google Shopping that you guys are excited about?
Chris?
Yeah, I would definitely say, where we're seeing it being beneficial is definitely for the consumer, that they'll at least be able to see some core data within, say, AdWords. Obviously, we create a platform that pulls data in from AdWords Analytics and Merchant Center. But ultimately, I think with the new Google Shopping campaign, they're really helping merchants that are new to the game to be able to onboard them and not necessarily need an agency for the initial getting onto shopping. I think that was the biggest setback in a PLA campaign. Was there was a lot of upfront configuration that just wasn't easy for someone who wasn't an AdWords seasoned veteran to do. So I think they're helping the consumer probably a little bit more right now, in that there's a lot more competition now in the Google Shopping arena. So there's more ads being displayed, there's more price competition, and that pricing is obviously going to go lower and lower for that end consumer. So I think that's actually the bigger push in this shopping. I think Brian could probably talk a little bit about more some of the extra little features that they're throwing in that's on the, for the actual e-commerce person.
Yeah, I would say I agree with Chris in the fact that their goal is to allow the more small to mid-sized businesses get into the marketing world without having to have a developer on staff or a marketing person on staff. So, your typical back in the day, Magento. If you don't know the development world, the e-commerce world, online, getting a site online was complicated. It cost a lot of money. Now I can go to BigCommerce, Shopify, you name it, $25. They claim you have a store up and running in a half hour, and you can be making money in a half hour. Just sign up. So
it's just that easy.
Yeah, it's as easy as click a button and you're selling whatever you want. Sell in your house, sell everything. So you get online, right, and you have this store that you pay $25 a month. You got your email address, you put your products in. Now Google's saying, you know what, you don't need to spend 10 grand anymore, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 to get an e-commerce site. You can spend $25. So how do we onboard these $25 people that don't know anything? We need them to click a button also, right? So BigCommerce, Shopify, they have the feeds coming out of there now, so a couple of more clicks, now you have a feed going into Merchant Center, then you click a button and you have a campaign done. So, shopping has gone that direction, and it allows those smaller stores the capability to easily onboard without any knowledge, really. Then you have the problem with, okay, now I'm spending my $5, $20 a day, and a week goes by and they're out of budget and they go, I didn't make money from this. So, you really got to understand that world to stay in it and make money with it and be able to continue the marketing process rather than just going into it and wasting your money, right?
Yeah, so that's probably accurate. That Google is mainly, their goal, as always, is to grow revenue, which whose isn't.
Right.
But making it easier to get a campaign set up, that onboarding process, making that simpler. It does seem, and I want to get into the software you guys provide here in just a few minutes because I think it's awesome. But there are some more granular controls inside of Google Shopping. It appears there are some improvements to the way you manage campaigns. Any insights there? Do you think Google's kind of raised their game a little bit on the way you manage a campaign if you were to do it directly through the dashboard there, the AdWords dashboard?
Yeah, the integration between AdWords and Merchant Center has definitely come a long way, right? So now you can easily see what products are in there in your advertising campaign. You can adjust your products by easily sorting by brand, categories, custom attributes, right? So you can really target a lot with a lot more efficiency and time, right, than it would have taken you before, and having to modify your feed to do certain things. They brought a lot of that into AdWords now. The tracking got better, right?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to that on the tracking. I know a lot of people right now focus on Merchant Center and AdWords as kind of being the pinnacle for what's going on in shopping, but Google's actually done, and credit to the analytics team over at Google, they've made it a lot easier for people to pull in conversion data that they would typically get from AdWords, which would be a whole separate piece of code that they'd have to implement. Now, if you do the configuration for e-commerce tracking, it makes it a lot easier to bring in conversion tracking into AdWords, and you don't have to worry about setting conversions directly in AdWords. And it honestly can be night and day difference for people getting their stores up and running and actually tracking not just the conversion, which is great, but the actual sales numbers in there. That really shows the return on ad spend.
Yeah, and we've seen that a lot. We've seen a lot where merchants come to us for the first time and they say, so here's analytics, here's AdWords, but we don't think any of it's reporting correctly. And so
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of cleanup work to do there.
Yeah, a lot of times, Google is really good at providing all the building blocks. Their job is at that point kind of over. The configuration of getting AdWords to talk to analytics and Merchant Center to talk to AdWords correctly, kind of the devil's in the detail with that thing. And getting that set up, and that's one of the things we do regardless of people getting value from our software is we always want people to have a good experience with Google Shopping. And the first step in that is actually getting the configuration set up correctly in their accounts. Even if they decide we're not the best fit for them for whatever reason, they have the best tracking they can get out of Google.
Yep. So they know what's going on. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, from your perspective then, guys, what are some of the big mistakes you're seeing people making? Because we see some accounts that are pretty good. They come to us and we can help improve them. We see accounts on occasion that are train wrecks, to put it politely. But what are some of the top mistakes you see people making with Google Shopping ads and campaigns?
So I would say number one is the blindness of it, right? They just set it and forget it model. One bid across your products. So the all products is like the death to a campaign. Now you get people who go, okay, I'm going to do all products. I don't have the time, the knowledge. I'll do all products at 5 cents, and that's that. I'll let it run, right? The two things that you're leaving off the table there is one, you're missing out on products that can do really well, and adding maybe from 5 cents to 7 cents, 7 cents to 12 cents can make a huge difference, right? It can be the value of 3 pennies to not be displayed in Google on the top listings to being displayed in the top listings for as little as a couple of cents, coming up for the right search terms for the right product. So I would go back to neglect is the worst. The worst case that I've seen is just, I put it up there, I have my budget, I'm doing my sales, I don't know where they're coming from, I don't have tracking set up, but I know I'm doing sales, so the money I'm spending has to be good, right? And that's probably the number one.
Yeah, blindness, and man, that's so true. And I know as we've looked at campaigns and we're working with you guys on one campaign looking at it, it seems like a lot of times there could be a product or two that are just huge wasters, right? They're wasting a lot of your budget, 20%, 30%, 40% of your budget maybe is wasted on 1 or 2 products that aren't converting at all.
Yeah.
But you're right, most people don't even know that.
Don't know that, so go ahead, Chris, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, what we find is with almost anything, it's very much the 80-20 rule. 80% of your products, for whatever reason, whether it's price, whether it's the description, something's wrong with those products, and they're dragging down the return on the 20% of products that are really going to do well. Because we view Google Shopping as a great channel, just as Amazon's a great channel for products, just as eBay's a great channel for products, but there's a unique consumer base for each one of those channels. So what 20% of those products are really your winners, we don't really know, but we have the method and the platform to find out. And then once we find out what they are, doubling down and taking your 80% wasted spend on products that just aren't going to convert within the margin of those products, and then being able to double down on the 20% of products that are rock stars, makes people go from it can be a hobby to making it their full-time job, or making it their full-time job and getting them a promotion. That's what it's a game changer.
The promotion, I like the promotion. Good throw in there.
Our goal today is to get you a raise.
That's right.
I want a promotion. Right.
Awesome. So, and you know what's really interesting there, Chris, is I think sometimes, so I love the 80-20 rule that applies in so many areas of life, but I think people would likely say, they're looking at their Google Shopping campaign, 80-20 rule applies there, but they're likely flying blind. They don't know which is the 20%, which is the 80%. And it may be surprising. It may not be the 20% that they would guess would perform well with the Google Shopping campaign.
Most people come to us and they say, oh, let me save you time. Let me tell you the best products that I sell. And people kind of go off the general rules of thumb. Whether they say their best products are because it's their highest margin product, maybe it's because it's their most expensive product, maybe it's just the one they sell the most on Amazon, and they come to Google Shopping assuming that's the one. But like I said, every channel has a unique demographic that's buying from you. So sometimes it's your consumer, your end consumer that's buying it on Amazon, but wholesalers are actually searching through Google Shopping, and they're looking for different things. So I think it all comes down to, once you have it at the ID level, which I'm going to really turn over to Brian to explain our platform, because the two major things that we really run off of is ID-based, which means that every unique SKU has a unique bid, and margin for each product. And those two key things allows you to actually separate the 80 and the 20.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about that, and I'll let Brian get into that in a second, but I was talking to a good friend of mine who lives on the East Coast. He's a merchant. He owns a couple stores and also owns an agency. And I talked to him about that, because the goal, I think, has always been with PLAs and with new Google Shopping is to get more and more focused. So we're making tighter and tighter target groups, product or product targets. But very few people are going on the individual SKU basis. Almost nobody, right? And so that's what you guys are doing, and it's really, really cool stuff. One other thing I would mention, it seems like there's just a lot of waste, too, that kind of ties into the blindness issue. But we see people overpaying for clicks, and you guys have kind of opened our eyes to some of that, too, as we've been looking deeper at some of our accounts. But one, I'll just share, a fairly new client, they have products that range from like $3 up to a few $100s, just the way their store is, which is not that uncommon. And we looked at their account when they came to us, and they had their max CPC was set to $7 across the board. So regardless of product, $7. We're willing to pay that for the bid. So we're willing to pay $7 for a product that is only $4.
One click loss.
So. Well, yeah, you gotta sell a quantity of 12 to make money. So, no, it's funny because I see this a lot, and we had a client, and what part of our service here is to work closely with them, regardless of the package, what they're paying, what the plan is. Make them successful, so we're successful. And I know that's across the board, every company. What's your goal in company? And it's to make my clients successful, because if they grow, we grow. But it's really true, right? Because if you have a client that says, how do I do more? And typically you go, add more product, because you got to the point where you're successful. You're making money. Add more product, add more channels. Amazon's a great avenue. 15% of your sale plus your shipping kills people, but the volume you can do on Amazon, it's very difficult to beat that anywhere else. So, the goal is, let's go to Google Shopping. Maybe, that percentage isn't set. We can get that at 2%. And you can save that 15% with the shipping. We can get it at 7%. We can get it at 15%, right? But it's a moving target. It's not a set target. So the goal is to like you said, to find that waste on those individual SKUs and bring that 15% to 12, to 10, to 5. So the volume might not be there, but the margin's there then. And you're actually making profit rather than $1 on something that you would sell on Amazon. So Google gives you a lot more room, and the search volume is there. So it comes back to the original topic that if you have a site that's trustworthy and someone can feel comfortable buying on, then you solve that problem that Amazon solved, right? So then it comes down to making the right decisions on your products, and to do that, the only way I've found is to understand on a SKU level what's going on, right? So taking a margin, so you talk about a $3 product, making sure that $3 product out the door isn't going to lose you money on your first click. So if you think about conversion rates on a site, and you talk about your typical 2.5 would be great for some people, right? They're at 150.5, right? So if you can get to that 2.5, and you say for 2.5% of conversion rate, how many clicks do I need to get on this product before it sells to keep that 2.5? Right, so that's the base, and then you say, what's my margin on this product? If my margin's only $1 and I only have $1 room, to get to a 2.5, we won't go into math craziness here, but to get to a 2.5, I can't spend $7 because my first click I lose money, and maybe it's going to take me 40 or 50 clicks to get that conversion rate. So to get 40 or 50 clicks to keep that 2.5%, maybe I have to be at 2 cents on this product, and it might not display, but at the end of the day, you're not losing money. So, the give and take from the Amazon model to the Google model is Amazon you don't pay until they buy. So you don't give your 15% until they buy. So you got to be really smart when you're marketing your products and really understand what each product should be pushed at, and every product should be pushed at its own bid rather than a set across the board. And you know, you can go into multiple reasons, but outside of you wanting to make profit, you can't bid higher than your profit, right? And not understanding what your profit is on each product doesn't allow you to do that. You're gonna fall into that game.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know there are ways you can do that to a certain degree within AdWords. You can create product targets based on brand and category and type and those things, and you get pretty granular that way, which helps. But what you guys allow, and I'd love for you to just kind of lay out the software a little bit and talk about what it does and how it makes things easy, how it makes life easy for people that are managing campaigns. You guys make it easy, even if you've got thousands and thousands of SKUs, to manage bids and manage campaigns on a per SKU level. So talk through the software just a little bit.
Sure. Quick overview. You have 100 SKUs, you have 1,000 SKUs, you have 1,000,000 SKUs, right? We connect to 3 Google channels, so Merchant Center, Analytics, and AdWords. Connecting to those channels allow us to pull and pass data back and forth. So part 1 is we're going to pull all your products in, and we can set margins on products a couple of levels. Quick and easy for most customers. They don't have cost on a product, so we'll just allow them to throw in a default margin, 25%, 15%. Some people look at it as like a threshold. What am I willing to spend on this product? So I'm willing to go up to 15%. So pulling the products in, building a cost on every SKU immediately allows our system to determine what the bid should be. So we're going to build out your SKUs with an initial bid on every SKU for you, so you don't have to figure the math and say, should I be bidding 2 cents or can I bid $2? And then we're going to allow you to push all those bids directly into AdWords with a couple of clicks. It's going to build out your campaign, all your bids on all your SKUs, and then the tracking starts from there, right? And based on your spend, that's the amount of information you're going to get in. So someone who spends $10 a day compared to a guy who spends $100 a day, the guy who spends $100 a day just got 10 days of data in one day, compared to your $10 a day that has to run to get that $100 in. So depending on how aggressive you are, the more information you're going to get, the more you're going to learn, which isn't always the best way. Sometimes it's better to go, okay, let me start small. I only have a small budget, so let me find the products that are going to sell well to cover my campaign, rather than go into the negative and find the loss. Let's get the campaign covered and maybe break even for the first month, and then start to shine after that and start to increase the budget based on where I want to increase it. I only want to increase it on the 20% rather than the 80%, right? So our software allows you to really get a overview of each SKU and the performance on each product, so you know a decision to make, and then updating bids too. You don't have to go in and update each bid. You can update multiple at once, right?
Yeah, which is awesome, because you know the goal with AdWords is to always create structure where you can actually manage things. You know, so where you can see and know what's going on, and then fairly easily manage things without taking all of your time and all your resources and all your effort. And so I think that's what your software does. And I'll confess, we're fairly new to using the software. We're very impressed so far. It looks really, really good, and it allows you to see details that you normally would not see, and allows you to make really granular changes that you normally would not make. So what's some of the feedback you guys get as you onboard someone? They're using the software, they're new to it. What are some of the aha moments that they have, or some of the breakthroughs that they see after they start using the software?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about one of them. One of the major ones that we see is actually on the product data that's being sent in, and how that's affecting that product from being shown in Google. So one of the major things we typically see is product data related to title. So product title is probably the biggest definitive matching type that you're going to get. So when you search for something in Google, how well your product title matches that search, how many keywords are matching, determines whether that product's going to show. And what we find usually right off the bat is short titles. And the way it looks like Google's coming up is they used to actually have a soft limit on product titles, which is about 70 characters. And people weren't even using that much. And now it looks like on September 30th or so, they're actually going to enforce a hard limit of 150, which is nice because while it's a hard limit, they're actually giving you more to work with. But the difference between having a 20-character product title and a 50-character product title can mean the difference between, doubling your impressions, and then for how many, clicks you get out of those impressions, and then how many conversions you get. So a lot of products, what happens is you start seeing when you have thousands of products, most people tend to focus on just growing the products that are getting clicks and conversions, but what we can quickly understand are what are the products that aren't even showing, and getting those ones that you would quickly write off as a loser can be actually your best performing products with a little TLC on the product title.
Yeah, that's really interesting because we talked about the 80-20 rule, and sometimes the 20 winners may not be the winners you think they'll be, and it could be that some of those products you sell elsewhere or that you're very competitive on that you're not selling with Google Shopping is because they're not titled properly, and the data inside of the feed is not set up properly. So your software helps identify that as well. Because I'm assuming that's something we see. I'm sure something you guys see a lot as well, is that the feed sometimes need to be optimized. And one of the things that we talk about is that as you're looking at that feed, you kind of want to think about it in some ways like you would SEO. Good quality description, good quality title. It's going to fit the way people are searching. It's going to be accurate, obviously, to what the product is. But then think about some good SEO characteristics that would fit for that product. So how does the software help identify if there are feed issues? And I know that's probably a combination of software doing some of the work and then experienced eyes also looking and identifying.
Sure. Well, we are building some tools in to give you instant results that this product is missing this. But for right now, basically, Merchant Center is as good as it's going to get to give you that information. The topic that Chris was talking about, being approved on a product or not being approved on a product is going to be your Merchant Center, right? They're going to let you know these products aren't approved for this reason. For what Chris was talking about, it's going to be impressions is your main thing, right? So you consistently increase your bid because you have the room, what we were talking about before. You want to make sure that the margin's there to be able to bid higher. So obviously if you can't bid high enough, that could be a reason rather than a title. But if you have a short title, maybe not keyword friendly, you might want to build that out, keep the bid where it is, and see if that works. Okay, that didn't work, so obviously it's the bid. Do I have the room? Yes. So you start slowly increasing the bid. So from us, we can say, out of 1,000 products, there's 600 of them that aren't visible and didn't get any impressions or have low impressions. So we can increase the bid by a penny, a couple of cents, and slowly increase the bids where the room is until we start getting more impressions on those products. And then you can start to see, right? And you got to kind of play on every angle. You got to be hands-on, really, at the end of the day. You got to be hands-on. You got to know what you're looking at. You got to understand what you're reading. It's not black and white with what's out there. So you got to have a tool or something to be able to understand.
Yep, absolutely. And we're about out of time. There are a couple other things I want to touch on though before we wrap up. One is competitive data. I know that's one of the new things with Google Shopping, being able to see how your metrics compare to others in your space. Any insights there that you guys would want to share? Anything that ties in with the software, or just what you're seeing with those metrics now being available?
I'll give a general one first, I guess, and then Brian can go into the more details. Is I think a lot of people have this idea that their click-through rate should be a certain percent, or their conversion rate should be a certain percent. And the reality is, when you start getting
just pulling that out of the air, right? I mean, they're just saying,
because I'm involved in a lot of trials, and a lot of people go, so what should I be expecting? Or my industry rate is 5%, or what is my industry rate? Because I want to make sure I'm at least being my industry rate. And the problem is, it's when you get down to the product level, every product has its own unique metrics. And your conversion rate for one product that could be trending because a celebrity just bought it and they showed it on, the Golden Globes, that is going to have a way different conversion rate for a shorter period of time than the rest of your products. And especially when we deal with sites that have 100,000 SKUs, 1 million SKUs, they're products that's so diverse that there is no industry for what they sell because everything's so different. So I think trying to pin yourself against a conversion rate is pretty difficult. You always want to see kind of the typical, up and to the right for your metrics. And you want to look at, especially when we were talking about how do you know when one product's doing poorly over another in your account, you really want to see it relative to the rest of your products. Just if I have 100 impressions but my top products are getting 10,000 impressions, you know you have probably an issue with that product getting impressions. It's just not realistic to be that low. So you really want to more compete with yourself than you necessarily need to compete with others in the industry, because especially with people who make their own product or it's unique to them, there's just no way to compare.
Yep, I agree. I could add a couple of things. One is, you're going off of other people's data, right? And I'll go back to Amazon because they're like the king of this. Use an ASIN and we'll build the product for you. So you go and you put an ASIN into Amazon, and all of a sudden you have a pink sweater when you want to sell a hat. And you're like, why did that happen? And it's because, a person entered that data and told Amazon that it was a pink sweater for that SKU and that ID. So, you're relying on data that's aggregated across an industry, and in that topic, then you're saying that everybody put in the correct data, right? So all of my SKUs that are supposed to be in category A, B, and C, I'm just going to throw an A because I don't have the time to separate all of these products into different categories. So yeah, I sell auto parts, and I have tires, and I have brakes, and I have windshields, but I'm just going to put it into auto parts. So now that's going to skew the results in auto parts. So you're going off of an aggregated number from multiple merchants who built their own information. And like Chris said, if you're not on a SKU level, then it doesn't work. I've been in accounts before that had a cost to convert $100, right? And been in accounts that are $3. And we take over accounts, so they start to use the software. Their cost to convert goes to $15 instead of $3. And they go, well, our cost to convert went up. And you go, yeah, but your $3 was selling a margin of $2. So even though your cost to convert was $3, you were losing $1 on every sale. Our $15 cost to convert are selling products that you have a $100 margin on. And that number that you're looking at, the cost to convert, is aggregated across 1,000 products that all have different margins. Yeah. So if you have a $5,000 product that has a $2,500 margin, and I told you every $500 you were going to spend, you were going to sell that $5,000 item and make $2,000, you would say, I would love my cost to convert to get $500. Right? Yeah. Where some people would say, you got my cost to convert up, and this is not good. It goes down to the SKU level. Am I making money for the cost to convert on the particular products that I'm selling? So that data, yes,
averages
it's good,
are important, but you've got to, the averages are important, but you got to be able to look at it on a per product basis. If you're not, then there's going to be waste. There's going to be ways that you can improve for sure. Okay, guys, let's drill down to actionable bites. We went a little bit over, but this is really good stuff, really timely, so I wanted to make sure we covered as much as we could. So actionable bites, someone's just getting started with shopping. What are some of the first steps they should take? I would say that the first thing is you got to look at, what's that?
Call us.
Yeah, call Brian and Chris. Yeah. So I think one of the first things is you got to make sure your data is good, right? You got to make sure that all of your properties are communicating properly. Analytics, AdWords, Merchant Center. What would you add to that?
Use Classy Llama to clean up your site, and go to Llama Desk. I want that statue. There you go. Because look, these guys are gonna clean up your site. They're gonna make it work. You're gonna sell. Don't use them. Don't sell. It's up to you guys.
You know what it is though. To be honest for a second, is honestly the best thing a store owner can do, whether they work with us or any other services. They know their products better than any agency ever can. So for them to put the sweat equity in of refining their product data is the biggest help they can do. Software will help them be more profitable, but if they really want to get the return customer, if they really want to build a business, it's all on making sure their product data is as clean and concise and accurate as possible.
Love that. Love that. Awesome. All right, guys. So, hey, if someone's listening and they say, man, I'm interested, these guys are sharp, I'd like to check out the software, I'd like to maybe visit with them, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Salesandorders.com. Sales, and spelled out, A-N-D, orders.com.
Salesandorders.com. Awesome. Brian Natter, Chris Eckert. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. You plugged Llama Desk several times, spoke very kindly, and you delivered really good value. But here's the problem: we got 2 of you and 1 trophy. So what are we going to do?
Look, we're going to have to lose another arm, I think. We're going to put this guy up again. Drop off another limb.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. There were guests fighting over this thing, and that's how it lost one of its.
It's like a chicken bone.
Whoever surfs the best later today on these hurricane waves, you get the trophy. But no, seriously, guys, we'll send you some llama swag as a thanks for being a guest on the show. And as always, to our community, our listeners, let us know what you think of this podcast, what you think of other topics. If there are burning questions that you want to know about anything e-commerce related, please let us know. If we pick your topic, we will get you your choice of either a Classy Llama shirt or a little llama tattoo, which is a whole lot of fun. So guys, any parting words of wisdom before we sign off?
Nobody has any words. Good luck.
Good luck.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks again for joining us. And as always, stay classy.